What's up guys, it's SK here, back here with another video. I know it's been a while since I posted. Fuck man, I really need to get like some form of a routine and flow here. Let me explain why, okay? So basically I've been going through like a little bit of a mental like roller coaster, okay? I've been stretched thin. Been trying to do too many things at the same time. So yeah, I've decided to really dial it down and get really immersed in just one or two things that are going to help me build myself up and create the content and the value that I want to share with you guys. Now, speaking on value, this video is going to be based on the life that I lived in the military. It's going to be based on my experiences in the military, and came with a high request rate from Hamza's Discord channel. So shout out to my boy, shout out to you boys out there who've asked about my life and my experience, and I'd just like to say thank you for giving me the opportunity to just talk a little bit about it. So I thought about what I'm gonna do when it comes to this specific topic. Okay, I wanted to initially do like one long supercut type of explanation on basically taking you through a timeline on what I did when I joined up, and what I sort of went through, like the whole sort of civilian to soldier transformation, and then go through like core ethos and all that stuff, and then talk about like my own field of expertise. So I was a medic for 5 years, and yeah, that was a very informative, a very educational, and also very testing yet rewarding part of my life. And then I thought, actually, let's split this up into a series of videos. I think that would be more beneficial. All right, so without further ado, let's get into it. What I'm going to talk about in this video is the prerequisites that I believe that everybody should everybody who wants to join the military anyways should take into consideration and then start actioning them. Okay, one thing I want to do is just debunk this myth that a lot of society and media portrays about the military lifestyle. Okay, every time that I've spoken to someone or someone talks about the military, they immediately think of storming beaches, running into enemy fire, planes and jets like flying over, dropping bombs, like big explosions, and like fireballs everywhere, tanks rolling over hills, and like people just like getting blown to shit. Okay, that's war, right? That's war. And the reality is war is not the business. War is not the lifestyle. Being in the military does prepare you for war, but the actual 9 to 5 of the job is nowhere. It's nowhere near that. It couldn't be further from that romanticized, sensationalized stereotype. Okay, I've had people who've literally said to me like, "Yo, so bro, like, how many confirmed kills do you have?" Or when you knife people, do you steal their dog tags like an execution in Battlefield? I'm like, the fuck? No, I was a medic. I don't do that shit. And they're like, "Oh, so you run around with defibs, bro, and you've got like your med kit, and you patch people up when they're getting shot at." And I was like, oh my god, right? So this delusional mindset has to go. Okay, if you're joining the military, if you are thinking of joining the military, and if you have even a semblance of that mindset, please throw it out the window. Okay, just do away with it, because it's only going to screw you up and set you up for a massive challenge. Okay, it's already going to be a big challenge. You don't want to give yourself even more of a handicap when you go into the decision making process of joining the military. Okay, the reality of the situation is, it's not your normal 9 to 5. It's a lifestyle. Okay, the army is very similar in some ways to normal civilian life. It has its own sort of structure with how any job runs. Okay, but the difference is that you don't switch off. you never really fully switch off, right? You don't just walk into the office, sit down for 6 to 8 hours, do some work, sort out some papers, send a couple emails, and then say, right, we're done. Let's just go back home. And then you kick your feet up and, do your 9 to 5 Monday to Friday with weekends off. The military is a very different take on working and living in general. You'll find that there will be times where you'll be working for weeks on end. And then there'll also be times where you'll have 2 weeks of downtime after going on a rigorous exercise or even going on an overseas deployment or something like that. Yeah. Each base has its own culture. Every unit and every branch has its own culture. So, like I said, it is very much like stepping into a completely different world at the same time of having similarities to the normal working world. I think the similarity in this case is just simply that humans occupy both the civilian world as well as this world, but it is very, very different. And should you decide to step into this lifestyle, to step into the boots of a soldier, or airman or seaman, you'll change you will change as a person, right? Fundamentally, as a human being, you will change for the rest of your life. Even myself, who's gone, served, and come out of the military, I am forever a changed man. You just change based on the training, based on the principles that you'll learn. And that's one point that I want to drive home before I kind of talk you through the whole initial stages of deciding to join the army, which is change. You need to get used to things just changing. I'm saying this word a lot. I'm really driving it in because, like any drill that you learn in the military, you have to fully digest it and absorb it and make it a part of your psyche. You will be in multiple locations at the drop of a hat. You will have to adapt your routine. You will have to adapt your routine to whatever the job requires you to, right? A lot of the time you'll also have to just do things in a certain way because someone with rank has told you to do so, because they overrank you, they outrank you, and you have to make peace with that. So if you're not good at taking instructions, work on that, or really think about whether that's the right career path for you. So we'll go into just what happens when you decide to join the military, okay? First things first, you will have to do a medical. It's like a pre-screening for the selection process. Now, what I'm talking about here specifically, about the specific sort of screenings and the tests that I had to go through, it's all specific to the British Army. Now, whichever country you're in and watching this video, wherever you are thinking about joining up, they may have slightly different tweaks here and there with the actual tests in itself, but the routine is all the same. They need to make sure that you are, medically and mentally and physically sound and basically capable of taking this next step by yourself, so that you then have the best chance of scoring in your selection test. All right, so when you decide to sign up, you will be given your pre-screening medical date, and from there they will take something basic like your BMI, your weight. They'll take your height, they take a sample of your blood, they take your blood pressure reading, just to understand just how medically fit and capable you are, and to also weed out anyone who may have medical conditions that will otherwise compromise the nature of the job. So if you're an asthmatic, if you have been clear for, I believe it's 4 years, right? If you've got 4 years clearance of asthma, you would be able to still continue with applying to the military. If you have minor asthma, I think you need to have a written letter and also like formal documentation from your doctor stating that you've been monitored and that you've not had an episode, because basic training will put you through your paces, and having anyone that would serve as a liability to the course, to the training, and to their peers, you'll get rejected. All right, that's the nature of the job, as it were. Okay, it is harsh, but it is a reality that you have to face. All right. What else? Yeah, so they'll also assess you for any heart conditions. Okay, so if you do have any cardiovascular issues, that's like immediately a red flag and you will be deferred. But let's just say you've passed your screening. Okay, you then move on to the selection test, and the selection test is held at a center. For myself, I went to a military recruitment center in Surrey called ATC Purbright, and while I was signing up for the army, they put us through their military fitness test. Now that has changed since I joined. It's been adapted in a different way, but it will usually consist of like a run. So it'll be like a timed run. Depending on your age and your gender, I believe that the timing may differ. Whether or not now most militaries do like a sort of like a unisex grading system, I'm not too sure on. I know that the British Army still grade men and women differently. So men, I believe, have things like 11 minutes to complete their run. Females are given, I think, like 12 minutes 30 or something along those lines, right? But either way, the structure will be a CV test, cardiovascular test in the form of a run. Depending on what branch you're applying to, they may have multiple tests to test your endurance. There'll also be a strength test to ensure that you have the basic minimum levels of fitness to qualify for that test. So if you're someone who struggles with fitness in general, I mean, there are loads of programs out there. I will link in the description the British Army's website, where you can download I think it's the Fit to Fight app, the Army Fitness app, where you do all the physical training exercises that the British Army personal training school has created. So that would give you the best sort of edge to qualify for that fitness test, right? The best way to get ready for a test is to practice what you'll be tested on. Now, this varies depending on what country you're in, as I've said before, but usually you want to get better at running. Okay, you do a lot of running in the military, because your feet are basically like your primary, well, it's your mode of travel, right? Your basic mode of travel. You need to be able to run, carry your body weight, and then also you'll be put through basic training modules where you'll learn how to develop your endurance by moving with weight and moving quicker, learning how to basically maneuver with all your equipment, right? Within the test, you'll also be given like an interview, and then that's where they'll ask you a little bit more about why you want to join, what research have you done into the service that you want to go into, and then you'll also be questioned on like the unit that you've chosen specifically. So it'd be wise to just do a little bit of research, just kind of like learn basic things like when the unit was formed, why you specifically want to get into that role. Okay, so for myself, I come from a medical background, so having people who've gone before me become doctors, pharmacists, um, paramedics, it was quite a natural route that I took, along with my own personal passion, to join the medical services within the army. And that was, my sort of reasoning behind that. Along with my own personal reasons, you have to show a little bit of your identity. Okay, it's like any normal interview, right? So just adopt that mindset, just like the normal interview process for a job. If you're successful, from then you'll then be given your start dates shortly on where you'll train, and it'll be like your first sort of like call to action. You're reporting for duty to begin your process of training to become a soldier or service member of your chosen branch, right? You'll then go to the training facility. You'll then be put into a group known either as like a platoon or a class or a school, etc. And you'll then be assigned to to like a barracks, where you'll then begin your training process. Now, this is the grindstone. This is where you start to put your former self behind you, and you start to adopt the way that you have been trained through the military. Okay, this is where they'll start to break you down. They'll break down physically, mentally. It will be an emotional process. My personal experience, I mean, every day we were waking up at like 5:30 in the morning, having to do like cleaning duties immediately. Then you're basically put through your paces through a series of classes and lessons. It's just heavily stacked. It's just like back-to-back lessons, PT, personal training. You then learn how to like fire weapons. You learn how to like navigate around a weapon system. You'll do drill, so you'll learn foot drill. You'll learn how to iron your clothes, for example. You basically learn, like, in a way, you learn like housewife duties, because a lot of it is just to teach you to be self-sufficient and to be smart, uniform, orderly, and move with a sense of purpose, right? The whole process of breaking down the inner civilian, as they say, is to basically turn out a well-oiled, functioning soldier, right? You'll be a well-oiled gear in the big wheel that is the military when you pass out of training, okay? And that will take place over a process of 3 months, maybe, depending on what school, branch, trade you're going into. Some organizations have extended specialist periods of time where you'll be training, but basic training normally lasts anything between, I think it's like 3 to 6 months. I know the Marines over here in the UK is a 9-month process, so that's a pretty lengthy period of time of just training in general. But that's also to factor in the tests. So you will be tested quite regularly. All right, you'll be tested physically, you'll be tested on your mental aptitude just to make sure you're retaining knowledge. And then you'll also be tested practically out in the field. So you'll do a lot of field craft, you'll do training exercises, you'll learn how to basically engage enemies in firefights. There'll be medical, like basic medical, like evacuation drills, etc. So you'll learn the fundamentals of what a soldier needs to be equipped with to basically get ready for war, right? That's your basic training segment done. After that, depending on what branch you're in, what you've decided to sort of spec as, so what role you'll take on within that branch, you then get sent to the specialist training school, all right? And this will be a camp that will be dotted somewhere around the country. So you'll be traveling. You'll be traveling quite a bit, and that's also something you have to get used to. All right? If you're a homebody like myself, the homesickness will hit you quite hard. But again, you joined for a reason, and that should be your primary driving factor, right? That will help you massively in the long run. Maybe not so much initially, because again, especially if you haven't really left home or you haven't traveled away from home as much, you will struggle being away. But the military will teach you discipline. It'll teach you how to be self-sufficient, self-reliant, and also you'll make friends that you would never have even given a second look at if you had crossed paths with them in the normal world. Some of my best friends that I made in the military, I definitely would not have spoken to them or even interacted with them if I had passed them in the wider world. And I went through training with them. They helped me through some of my biggest struggles. So it's an exciting experience. It's something to be looked forward to. All right. It's not easy by any means, shape, or form. So I would say the attitude that you need to take to prepare yourself for the military is you need to accept that you're going to be put through your paces. You will make mistakes. You will be subjected to hard labor. There will be points where you'll get punished for things that aren't necessarily your fault. Okay? Corporal punishment is still a thing in the military. Some people think that it's it's unfair. Well, you'll fast learn that the military is not about fairness. It's about basically being effective and being capable, doing things by the numbers that are taught to you. So you will learn how to live within a structured, orderly, regimented, and routined lifestyle. And should you continue to make your way through basic training, you'll definitely see it change your life. In my personal opinion, for the better. Because that routine will carry forward with you in life. You will struggle mentally. You will struggle physically. You'll even have emotional struggles. But the beauty of it is that you will have people who are struggling there with you. That is what teamwork and togetherness is all about. So this little introduction video to the military is just to give you a little taste and understanding of doing something that's bigger than you. Because there are people who are in the same boat as you, who've all left home, right? And there'll be a mixture of some people who are okay with being away from home. There'll be people who don't like being away from home, all right? And what you've got to realize is you are now part of a bigger movement. Still an individual with your own thoughts, words, and opinions, but you're going into something, you're stepping up to a calling that is higher than yourself. And the last point that I'll make in this video is you're going to be exposed to true selflessness, because you'll see people who've come from backgrounds who have suffered tremendously and have really, really gone through rough patches in their lives. If you're this person, then the script might be different. You'll see some people who've come from privileged lives, and you'll then realize that it doesn't really matter when it comes to the whole fundamental aspect of learning to be a soldier, because you put whatever your purpose and objective is, the orders that you've been given, you put that for yourself. And it's a truly humbling process. And in this process, you'll find a new sense of respect for the people around you, for the people that you're working with, and more importantly, yourself. So that's what this video's been about, all right? I hope that it's just given you a brief insight as to what to expect in the initial stages of the military. I will be creating more videos, just outlining the ethos of the principles that I believe everyone can work on before they join the military, just to help give themselves an edge on succeeding in their aspirations, and also to be a more well-rounded and healthy individual. If you like this video, guys, you found this informative, please hit that like button, hit the subscribe. It's a win-win for both of us. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.